We are live.
It's alive.
All right, how's Dan Locke going?
It's hard to say, right? Like their team is pretty well. Okay, so I'll say this: when they first approached me about it, they said, "I think you can do 100 sales, right?" And I said, "Okay. I mean, this is what I got. I have a YouTube channel that has this many subscribers, potentially an email list of like 70,000." And this is the average views per video. And they said, yep, we wouldn't reach out to you unless we thought you could do 100 sales. That's our minimum. That's like what we're looking for JV partners. So
Though that's a good sales technique.
Well, yes and no. I mean,
hardcore qualification to get you to sign up, and then it's okay if you get whatever X number of sales. I would use that in my next JV deal.
Yeah, I mean, there's some of that, but what I'm saying is that like it's not like they're just gonna let anyone sign up for. I mean, their team has had to put in a lot of work in order to do this, right? It's not.
Yeah, they did.
Not worth the.
They built the funnel. Did they pay for you to fly out, John, or did you pay?
No, I paid to fly out.
I'm assuming they already had the funnel. They didn't have to build the funnel.
Well, they had to customize the funnel.
Yeah.
They had to build a separate webinar page. And
I'm in the funnel, and there's emails and stuff. They're somewhat templatized, but clearly you can tell that they went through John's channel and pulled out themes and everything. So
okay.
Yeah. So definitely a lot of work. But anyway, the reason why I say that is because they probably have a good idea of how their sales process works because they've gone through this a lot of times already. But we had only had like one sale by what's that?
How many clicks now?
And we don't have the latest stats from them yet.
As of yesterday, we had about we generated around 5,000 views on the videos, and about 10% of those people are opting in to the email, or to the webinar.
So 500 clicks.
5,000 people watched the video.
Well, we've got
500 people viewed the webinar registration page. Half of them opted in.
Yeah, we've got
250 opt-ins.
We've got two videos out right now.
Right.
One video has like 5,000 views. The other has 4,300.
So 10,000.
Oh,
more or less.
Okay.
Yeah, the other video is actually doing really good right now.
The second one?
Yeah, it's got like a view per hour of like right now 130. So that's pretty high velocity. So yeah, so I don't know. We'll see what. There's another guy that also is doing a promotion at the same time with Dan Locke that has a channel with like 300,000 subscribers or so, and he had 2 sales yesterday. So they're expecting that a bunch more sales come in after the fact. There's still a few videos to come out and stuff, but
is there a closing date as well?
What's that? Yeah, because the class starts.
It's evergreen, isn't it, though?
Well, yes and no. I think this season of the class starts on, was it January 8th, I believe?
Oh, okay.
Or it might be 10th, but so they basically got to get in before then to get into the class. Unless they allow some late registrations, but oh no, based on the way that things are going, I would say that 20 sales is sort of a top number. Like,
yeah, for me, I think I was thinking 10 coming into this. So far, that's holding up. I could see it going to 20.
Yeah, it's interesting the excitement level though. Have you looked at like the comments on the videos and stuff?
Yeah, but I was looking at that and I was going. A lot of these people are saying, "I've been following Dan Locke and you both for 2 years," and so those people aren't going to be buyers.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Well, if they've been through Dan's funnel several times, they could still buy.
He hasn't pitched his stuff. Well, he hasn't pitched this through his funnel, I don't think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think
This is not a proven funnel?
no, it's a proven funnel with JV partners. So
Yep.
yeah, but yeah. Anyway, I don't know. We'll see. Basically like the reason why I wanted to do this had more to do with the credibility aspect of it than the than the monetary aspect of it, right? Like the idea of, like, as you can see, right, like doing this joint video with Dan Lok was super brand building, pumping of the so a lot of people like that, and so yeah, that was mainly the goal behind it.
Chuck, your doppelganger is on the call now.
Yeah, I'm having network issues because I'm on the Wi-Fi.
Can we get 3 Chucks? Can we get 3 Chucks?
I can try.
Can we get 4?
But yeah, it's kind of funny to watch their affiliate their affiliate team is very good at motivating.
Yeah,
like the job of an affiliate manager is similar to a personal trainer. They're just like they want to get you as pumped up as possible, and like then of course they paired us up with this guy, right, who's fairly comparable, Ryan. I don't know Ryan's last name, and they're trying to like they're trying to play us off of each other. Yeah. So it's interesting to watch. I mean, we watched this. It was pretty much the same with the Dan Martell promotion that we did a couple 12 or 18 months ago. That was pretty similar.
How did that go?
So we ended up with 10 sales. And we were like in second or third place, and the winner
$10,000 from that one.
What's that?
10K from that?
Yeah, some around 10K, but then we had, I see, the thing is, so I think we're going to do 10 sales. My prediction is 10 sales and 2 returns, which is what we got with the Dan Martell.
Yeah.
I think from what John said, it seems like the content on this is going to be much stronger than with the Dan Martell stuff. Like that content seemed like it was weak sauce.
Yeah, I think the refund rate would be extremely low on this because of really like the course that Dan is promoting is more like a cult, right? Like, and I don't mean it in a negative way. I mean, like, he's done a great job.
It's a satanic cult in the best way possible.
In the best way possible, but he's done a great job because I attended a bunch of the classes. And he creates this whole culture, this HCC for life, kind of slogan, a bunch of slogans that are in there, like almost like a family group atmosphere, right? With the Facebook group, with the engaging, like he's got that all like down mastered. It's almost like a Tony Robbins type of experience, right? In fact, he goes over the class time by like 4 hours. So you go to the class that's supposed to be like a 2-hour class, and it's like a 7-hour class, and you're there till 1 in the morning. So he does a great job of doing that. And really, like I said, one of the things about this is like I can very easily promote this for $2,500 because there's easily way more than $2,500 worth of value there, right? Like learning the skills that he teaches in the course is honestly, it's really good stuff. Like, right. And especially someone who's coming in, like if you have these skills, like, are you going to be able to make the $2,500 back that you spent on the course? Oh yeah, so easily. By closing just a few sales, high ticket sales, which it's that kind of ability is definitely in high demand. So
sounds like someone is already indoctrinated into the cults.
Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff though. Like that's the thing is like
John's like, I went through this course and they drew circles on the board and it was my eyes were opened.
It's kind of stuff that I wish I would have known like early on, right? Like so
I still think it'll be a 10 to 20% refund rate because that's almost a given.
Yeah,
especially when you're
price point.
Yeah, when you're at that price point, like it's like a law of nature. The content quality, if it wasn't that high quality, it would be 50%.
Yeah.
I have heard of people hitting 50-60% refund rates.
From where?
I mean,
Dan
just
Lok?
what? No. Not than anyone that we would ever consider doing business with. Just like
Yeah.
some of the smarmy or internet marketer types.
Yeah.
I've heard of launches where the refund rate was that high.
Oof. No, this doesn't. This is definitely not smarmy.
No,
It's good
not at all.
stuff. It's weird. Like a lot of people have definitely. There's definitely some negative like, what did I say? Like thoughts about Dan of almost like of his techniques of him being a scam artist and whatnot. But the thing is like, but here's the thing is like, and that's why I attended the course, because when I first saw Dan, right? I mean, I was like, I don't know about this guy, right? Like it was a flashy red suit and like, oh, I'm gonna make you millions of dollars, right? Because I saw him on the Menfluential, like, you know, talk this stage, and I was like, I don't know about this guy, right? So a lot of people in my audience were like talking about him, so I was like, okay, well, let me go check out his book, that FU Money book. And so I read the book, and I was like, this is all like this is like the kind of stuff that is not bullshit. That, you know, you only learn this stuff by having like actually learned how to make passive income and doing some real estate investment and like, you know, this is solid stuff. Like you can't like, you know, it's not bullshit. And I like his straightforward, you know, his straight shooting approach of telling it like it is, right? Of not being politically correct. So then I started checking out his videos, and I was like, at that point still, I was like, okay, you know, what's the scam here? And I started watching his videos. I'm like, this is like just fucking solid advice. Like I can't disagree with any of the stuff that he's saying, you know. And so that's when I was like, okay, you know, this guy's solid. But he gets that kind of Tai Lopez reputation, I think. But again, it's the same thing. It's like even Tai Lopez too, right? Like you watch a lot of his content, and you're like, okay, I don't see anything wrong with what he's saying. Like, you know.
Yeah, I think it's a big part of it is, I mean, like his pitch. I haven't been through any of the other content, but just his pitch on the front end is like straight up biz up.
Yeah.
Straight up. So that will turn a lot of people off, and a lot of people will just automatically assume that they will associate you with everyone else in that industry.
Yeah. Manny just posted a Quora question on, is Dan Lok a scam? Yeah, I've read that. That's kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting. The guy that posted that, or the name Desmond Soon. Mm-hmm. That's actually, I met Desmond, and this is not Desmond.
Okay.
Desmond is Dan's like second in command, basically. Mm-hmm. And so this guy actually posted an answer to, is Dan Lok a scam, impersonating Desmond. So so that takes a lot of credibility out of it there. Although, you know, what he says in it is somewhat accurate, right? I mean, his numbers are some kind of but again, it's a lot of these things it's like a matter of perception, right? Mm-hmm. It's like people can be like, oh yeah, what a ripoff. He just, you know, used these promotions to sell this $2,500 course, right? So he can make money selling this $2,500 course. And again, you can say, you know, to the average person, okay, yeah, that looks like a ripoff to me. But to someone who realizes what the value that you get from a $2,500 course by learning a valuable skill, it's a hell of a fucking bargain. Like that's
that's the deal, right? Is that it's about the results. For me, it's about the results. You know, is he a scam or not? Well, yeah. I mean, if he's selling me something that doesn't work, yeah, it's a scam. But if he's selling me something that, you know, I can go make $10,000 with, it's worth $2,500 to go do it. Not a scam.
I think all of this shit works if you do the work, but that's where the challenge is.
That's true of a lot of things.
Yeah,
I would say that's not always true, Manny. I don't think you're saying it's always true, but
not always true,
I mean, like, there's a lot of people on Warrior Forum selling stuff that doesn't work, you know, and never will work.
Yeah, I mean, we don't. I don't know if Dan is one of those, but
no, I don't think he
sounds of
is.
it, most of them are actually pretty like the big names are usually pretty legit. It's hard to sell. It's hard. Well, I shouldn't say it's hard because there's always some Ponzi scheme coming out.
Yeah.
With,
oh, sure, but
most of the time,
ones that have a reputation and have done it over and over and over again,
yeah,
typically they're selling legit products that will get you legit results if you do what they say. Because if they're selling a scam at any point in that chain of things, their reputation's ruined and they won't be able to sell anymore after that.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because it's like, you know, when you look at something like this, it's like Dan is selling you on closing, which is basically sales, high ticket sales, like how to sell things. And like the people that point out the scamminess of it, they point out his sales techniques. They're like, oh, he gets with Brandon Carter and Engineered Truth, and pretty soon I'll be on the fucking thread, you know, and tricks them into selling, pushing his expensive $2,500 course where he doesn't really teach anything of value except for motivational self-help things and how to sell, right? Like, and it's like, well, wait a minute. if that worked, right? If he's selling a course on how to sell and you're complaining about the fact that his sales techniques are so effective, I don't understand what you're complaining about, because that's the whole fucking point, right? Is it's like, if you bought the damn thing, then it obviously fucking worked, right? Then he obviously knows what he's doing. So, you know, that doesn't apply to all fields, but in this particular case, it's pretty damn applicable. So, yeah, it just
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My name's
So yeah, so we're gonna finish it out and see what happens. We've got a few more emails going out. They actually told me that they had, well, I think they told John that they had emails that we could use, or they were going to write emails for us or something, which turned out to not be the case. They pointed me to some resources and said, go write emails. So, yeah, but
it should be better that way. Oh, one thing we should do, Josh, is like, I think your emails so far have been pushing people to the videos, right?
Yeah.
So the very last one should not be pushing people to videos. I think it should be just pitching the concept, just pushing them to the webinar.
Yeah, we're actually gonna do. So we're doing one email per video, and then we're gonna do several emails at the end, just promoting the webinar.
Exactly.
How many emails are you doing in total?
Probably 7, maybe something like that. So the first ones are just promoting the YouTube videos, and they're really short. They're like teasers, almost like. The one I sent yesterday was like, software development is a high income skill, right?
Yeah.
And according to Dan's definition, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got, so far, yeah, they've both done pretty well. The click-through rate has been like around 2%, which is pretty high for us.
Yeah, that's the kind of for a product this high end, you do need to do a lot of persuasion through content.
Yeah.
But why? I'm surprised. Why aren't you just sending them to a landing page with a good enough headline that will convince them to sign up, and then the webinar does the selling?
I mean, this is what they asked for, so I'm giving them what they asked for.
It is doing that. It's sending them to a webinar sign up page.
My emails are sending them to the YouTube video, which sends them to the landing page.
Oh yeah. That's I mean that's. But there will be emails that just go to the webinar. But that's ideal for a couple of reasons. One is because of the persuasion on the YouTube video, especially like with the main YouTube video we're targeting is the one with Dan's background. Like, you really have to understand someone if you're going to buy a $2,500 course.
Have you tried running ads or considered running ads to it? Retargeting?
I don't want to run any ads. That's a good way to just eliminate the $1,000 we've already earned.
Yeah, maybe Maybe you'll eliminate 1,000, but you'll make another 1,000.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, go do all that work for a break even.
Yes.
Oh.
How's the other?
So
No, go ahead.
go ahead.
I was gonna ask how's the other ad thing going, because that's what I'm feeling more and more like something that needs to be done on that front.
Yeah, we kind of lost momentum on that through the holidays, so they are back working on it, but I don't know what the next step is at this point. I'm deliberately not micromanaging them on this, so I've been tempted for the last 2 days to be like, what's going on? When are we going to meet? But I want to not do that because this whole thing's an audition. So they should be setting up the next. They will probably. I'm guessing we'll probably meet Monday or Tuesday. I know, like I need to get with Jason and get that lead magnet created. But as far as I'm concerned, we can use. He's already got a video that basically delivers what we promised. So I think I'd like to see the infrastructure get built out, and then we can improve the lead magnet as we go.
Do you guys have any new numbers?
Not since last week.
They made $1 gazillion.
I'm just interested in the cost per click and lead and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna.
Right now, that's all the numbers.
The stuff that we have so far isn't really relevant to what we'll be getting long term, because it's very different than the strategy that they're going to use. Is very different than what we've been using to this point to test. So
yeah,
because they'll basically be doing video funnels, video ad funnel on Facebook. And we haven't done any much with video yet. So
basically people watching XYZ% of video get to watch the next video?
Yeah. Video, like a Facebook ad video autoresponder.
It looks like you're kind of in a holding pattern until,
Yep.
At least for the next few weeks, probably.
Probably next week we'll be moving forward.
Unless someone watches video A to a certain percentage, you don't show them video B.
Yeah. Or in some way engages.
Mm-hmm.
Is there Messenger involved as well?
Not initially. Messenger requires, as far as I know, a like. That's a good tactic to add on once the funnel's working. You can get them to like your page, and then you can do broadcasts. Messaging.
I've had that work for me where I liked a page and then I got basically an auto chat.
Yeah, they found the hell out of you.
Yes, Kazi from Clever Programmer is brutal.
The one that I got was, "Hey, thanks for liking us. How can we help you?" And I said, "I want to talk to your marketing people about sponsoring podcasts." And I got an email address out of it, so it worked pretty good.
Oh, there you go. Okay, nice.
But I can see that tactic for other avenues. Are you a customer, and what do you like, and how can we?
I am seeing like some people
for you.
Straight up, like Amy Porterfield is doing a campaign right now, and like all I see is her pushing Facebook messages to me. Not even sending emails, which is very weird.
Well, now that you're friends.
Yeah.
Friends spam friends on Facebook Messenger.
That's right. That's what it's for. I get all the political memes from my father-in-law. Well, I had a little bit of a dramatic week this week.
Oh,
we can tell.
And I kind of screwed up. But I've been kind of off and on again. I don't even know if we want to talk about this since Eric edits the shows, but anyway, Eric's been editing all the shows at devchat.tv, and I've been kind of off and on as to whether or not he's been doing what I asked him to. And so part of it's my fault because I didn't specify exactly what I wanted. I mean, I'd ask him for stuff and I wouldn't always get it, or at least not always reliably get it. But he did a great job editing. I think I just needed to be clear with him about what I wanted. And then, but yeah, so the other thing that I did, and of course now I'm doing what made Mandy quit a couple of years ago. So by talking about it, but yeah, so I included him on a thread where another editor that I had been geared up to hire to take on some of the work he was doing, she had basically asked me, why I was replacing him, what happened to the last guy. And so I mentioned that, he hadn't been 100% reliable. And I don't blame him for taking it personally, but he quit. So I did have a few other people lined up to take over, but I didn't publish anything this week. So yeah, I've been kind of playing catch up on that this week as far as just getting editors onboarded and stuff like that. So I'm really good at screwing this stuff up is what I figured out.
Yeah.
But I did learn from it. And one of the things I learned from it was, just setting those clear expectations. Hey, look, this is your job. And he would show up to our team meetings and his win of the week was, we got all the episodes out on time. And that always bugged me a little bit because that was what I was paying him for. It's not a win, it's an expectation. But anyway, yeah, I pretty much screwed that up. So yeah, I'm being a little bit more clear with the people that I'm hiring now and just saying, look, these are the expectations I have. This is what you're going to get paid to do it. This is when you'll get paid to do it. And just making sure that that's all clear so that I don't mess it up again.
Yeah, I think that's been the biggest issue that you've had is not having the expectations be very clear up front. And as soon as someone steps off the path, you got to be there and just smack them with a stick. Not when they're too far off the path, then it's too late. I think that's a big issue. I think also with your stuff too, it makes sense. I mean, from what you've learned, lesson learned here is you really need a buffer and a decent one. Yeah. You need at least 2 weeks.
So that was something that I pushed Eric on and said, look, I want to get a week ahead.
Yeah.
And he told me that he could do that, and then it never materialized. But I never followed up on it either.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't put all the blame on him.
No.
I mean, if he couldn't do it, he shouldn't have said that he was going to do it. But the flip side is that I should have been following up and tracking it too. So, yeah. So I've set all that up so that I'm tracking it now. I would like to get 2 weeks ahead on the editing. Right now, I'm just requiring 1 just so that we get ahead on everything.
Yeah.
And then, probably in March, I'm going to say, look, I'm changing the game a little bit. We're going to get 2 weeks ahead over the next few months and just nail that down. But the guys that I've hired to do the editing at this point have said that getting me a week ahead is no problem, and it'll probably happen here within the next week or so.
Okay. Well, see, that's probably is the thing you need to eliminate. You need to say, you need to manage this to say, okay, on this date.
Well, I've told them that I want it by the end of the month, and they're telling me that they can likely do it sooner than that.
Oh, okay. Even still, milestones of where it needs to be, the checkpoints, I think are critical so that you know that this is going to happen. But
I set up a spreadsheet with KPIs on it for the shows, and it'll turn the cell red if we're not at least a week ahead.
Nice.
On editing.
So that's part of your dashboard then.
Yeah, it's just a spreadsheet, but it's a dashboard.
Right.
And it's like, look, you know what? We're not there. And then if it's a continual thing, then I can look at them and go, look, we got to get this figured out or you're gone.
Yeah.
And then I'm not going to be as nice either. And I'm just going to probably give them 1 warning And then if they aren't figuring it out, then I will find somebody to replace them.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing, which it sounds like you're already doing, is you need redundancy here.
Yeah. So I've hired these two editors. And the one editor that I hired, he's in Serbia, but he went to school for 4 years to learn how to do audio production. And so he's got a bunch of classmates that are also looking for work. And so I'm probably going to get a referral or 3 from him and have them audition for the job like I did with him. And then I'll probably hire somebody else, and then I'll just split the load evenly. But the other thing that I'm looking at now is Joe from JavaScript Jabber. He wants to start a show for his brand. So I'll be branded his stuff and not DevChat. And we're probably going to get around to launching that around the end of February with like 4 or 5 episodes in the tank. And I talked to another brand, and I'm still negotiating with them, so I'm not going to tell you who it is yet. But they're a smallish brand. They just launched a new product, and their marketing person, I talked to them about sponsoring podcasts, and they weren't super interested, especially since I didn't have anything that was a super good fit for them because it's focused around management metrics for development teams. And so it's sort of applicable, but I don't have a show that targets like CTOs yet.
Right.
I'd like to get one, but I don't have it yet. So with them, we're looking at creating something like that with their branding on it. And we'll probably get that launched around April or May if they go for it. So I'm starting to bring in these other things. And the other thing is that I've been reading the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. And I've decided that, I have a bunch of ideas as far as like what I want out of life, but specifically with the business. I was thinking, I'd like to double my revenue this year. And now I'm looking at it and going, well, maybe I should set the goal to 20x my revenue this year, which sounds totally insane when I say it. But what that means is that I need to spin up a whole bunch more shows and, get sponsorships going on those and probably find another revenue source somewhere.
I mean, the thing with 10x and 20x, and there's another great book on that, Smart Cuts. You should probably check that out as well. Is the reason why 10x and 20x work is because you're trying to not do the same thing, more of the same thing in order to get to 10x, 20x. You have to actually do something radically to get that. So that's why I was kind of like doing more of the shows. It's pretty hard to see getting that to 20x, but if you had a radically different idea, that might be the way.
Well, I think that doing branded shows like he's talking about is an example of that, right? Where somebody's paying you $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month to produce a show for a company. Right?
Yeah,
or
the other thing is that doing the shows is the same thing, but if I'm going to do enough shows to move the needle in a 20x way or a 10x way in revenue, I'm going to have to offload a ton more stuff. So I'm going to have to do things differently, even though the outcome is the same thing in other areas. The things that I'm doing are going to be completely different.
Yeah.
It'll force me into that arena because I'll have to build out a team and, do a lot more of that kind of thing. And I'll be managing, I'll be setting expectations and making sure that I'm managing these people properly to get the stuff done. I won't be doing nearly as much of it myself, not even close, because there's just no way. If I doubled the number of shows I had, there's just no way I could do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And if you had 10x the shows, then what would happen? How would you do it?
I'm still working on that.
And 10x the number of shows, is that what this is about?
No, I'm not looking to 10x the shows, the number of shows. I need to figure some of that out. I mean, a lot of this just kind of came out of reading the book this week. But I realized that if I'm looking at that kind of a target, then I've got to figure out a path to get there because I can't keep doing what I'm doing now and get that kind of outcome. There's just no way.
Yeah, that's true. That's true for almost every business. Just like the organic strategies most of the times are very incremental and very hard to see for anyone like with established business to like triple, quadruple their business just because of some new organic strategy, because they're just so slow burn compared to something like ads, where it's much more likely that you're going to explode, or if you get it to convert, then you can throw the money at it. And like I've been thinking hard about this, like any big name in the industry that we know, in the information /podcast/YouTube/marketing industry, the biggest names have always risen ultimately because of major advertising campaigns or initially because of some affiliate campaigns. I don't know of anyone who's done straight up organic and been able to like grow tremendously. Do you guys agree with that?
I thought really hard. There's probably a couple, but largely, yeah.
There's almost nobody I can think of who's doing like almost no ads and still blowing it up.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone like that. Tai Lopez, Pat Flynn, John Lee Dumas. It's the others who are actually not running ads, but their businesses are actually pretty small.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Like, especially for personality branded businesses, it almost seems like the good strategy to have is to work on creating a converting funnel with a high ticket offer, and then you basically fire like a huge ad spend, $100,000, $200,000 on ad spend, just getting your face everywhere, getting such a huge publicity that then everything else that you do is magnified in effectiveness, because you've already got that exposure branding. And then when you do targeted advertising, now people know who you are. You've built the name real quickly. Like if you look at it, like, again, Tai Lopez did that basic strategy, right? Dan Lok actually.
Tai Lopez had a converting funnel on the back end of it. I'm not sure if it's just straight up like spending money to become visible.
He wasn't making money on the Here in My Garage ads.
Believe me. I don't know if you saw.
He was paying. No, he wasn't making any money on those. He was paying ridiculous amounts of money for the ad. I know, because he was advertising on my channel.
But there was back end of it.
CPM was,
There was a back end of it.
The CPM was like $14, $15.
Yeah,
there's no way.
The back end of it.
He wasn't making money on those. His purpose wasn't to make money on those. It was to build up his branded name. Okay, and eventually he created converting offers for sure. And it was a converting offer. It was a loss leader though. I mean, he was basically offsetting his ad spend. Right. He was spending, he spent like, at least $1 million on ads during that time frame, probably more than that.
Yeah. I mean, we can argue back and forth as to when he started to convert positively, but the fact of the matter is advertising is what got them there. But if you talk to a lot of agencies, they will say, hey, don't blow up cash right away. Let's start slow. Let's test. Let's see what converts, and then spend money on that.
There's two strategies there. One of them is a strategy where you are scaling up slowly based on profitability, right? The other one is where you're going for a tipping point strategy, where you're going to do a blitzkrieg type of ad campaign, blow up your brand, show up everywhere, right? And then the benefits of that, right? And that's what happened.
The second one has a lot of assumptions built into it, which is pretty dangerous. I mean, that doesn't sound like a good business strategy to me. It sounds like a strategy, not necessarily a good strategy.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing about that
That's
strategy.
Quotable. I will grant you that it is a strategy.
It's a great strategy. It has a high risk. The risk is that you don't have enough money. Because if you can't reach the tipping point, if you don't have, it's like
that's basically the whole premise of brand advertising, what you just described.
Exactly.
The brands have done their testing of their products, and I actually know that if they acquire the customer at XYZ price point, it's worth them to keep on money. even if they're acquiring at $1 loss, they know they will make it back because they will be able to resell them more. They will be able to, sell higher tickets, all that stuff. Like they're doing their calculations before they're like, let's just fucking
no.
That's
spend all
not
this
true.
shit money.
That's not true.
Completely untrue.
It's more true now than it was 10 or 20 years ago.
Well,
but for the last 100 years or 110 years, that has not really been true.
But you still somewhat test the product to see if people will buy with this campaign or this XYZ thing before you go higher, right? You do test mailers before you go big mailers.
No, this is a total brand move. It's a total different strategy. Like I said, it's tipping point. It's tipping point. If you become a big name, you like, okay, so here's, okay, think of it this way. Okay, let's say that you're trying to sell a product for $1,000, okay, and no one knows who the fuck you are. Okay, so in order for you to sell, your cost per acquisition on that might be, let's say, $700. Okay, I'm just throwing out random numbers here, but let's say that you're a celebrity in your space, right? You're the Tai Lopez, the Dan Lok, the whatever it is, the Sam Ovens, any one of these guys that have spent a huge amount of money on advertising to become
Does Dan Lok do
a
much
name.
Advertising?
Yeah. Okay.
On Facebook?
I mean, well, okay. Look at all the comments on my video with him. There was like, oh, I know Dan Lok, right? Because obviously he built up his.
I think he's done mostly through affiliate, but anyways, yeah.
Well, let's say that regardless, there's multiple ways you could do it. But regardless, let's say now you're a big shot, you're a Tai Lopez or whatever. Okay, now you sell $1,000 product. Now your CPA might be $300, it might be $200. It's going to be a lot less, okay? Because people already know who you are, and they're already bought into your brand before you've even pitched them anything. Yes, you still have to have a profitable funnel. Yes, you still have to do that. But these big branding moves, they're not a strategy where you're just going to make money directly off of that initial advertising. It's an investment, and you have to bring enough. You have to have enough bullets in your gun to be able to actually be able to move the market. If you can't fire enough dollars in advertising and actually make a dent where you actually get people talking about you, right? The point where Tai Lopez made it was when the first time I went to a conference, and it was a developer conference, and people were talking about Tai Lopez, right? That's when I was like, okay, that's where he had hit that critical mass point, where now he became a common name, and now everything that he does is magnified. And that's what that whole strategy is. And even big brands go after the same exact strategy, right? That's how those huge movements happen, where this brand comes out of nowhere. Someone like Gymshark shows up out of nowhere, right? It's not really the product, it's not the offer, it's the buzz that they create around it. There's a bunch of companies that have successfully executed this, but they had to dig deep into advertising dollars in order to hit that critical mass tipping point. And that's the risk that employing the strategy.
I think I agree with all that. I would say that 99 times out of 100 it doesn't work.
Right.
Probably. So that's the risk. Yeah, I mean, like, yes, it can work, right? And for every Tai Lopez, there's probably 100 Tai Lopez's that we never heard of.
Well, but
I want to just throw in on this, because I mean, to some degree, there's something that Tai Lopez did that worked, right? The other 99% didn't do. Did they run out of money? Did they just not gut it out? Were they not putting out the right content, or whatever it was that they were driving people to?
I think it's not predictable. It's not something that you can. So Tai Lopez was probably a combination of his personality, the specific ads he was running just had some viral qualities to them. I mean, it's like there's some formula to it. There's also some magic and some art that's really hard to reproduce.
So I mean, if we look at
this though for a smaller community, because Tai Lopez kind of went for mass appeal, and I don't know that I really care as much as just getting known in the programming space.
Well, he sort of did. He went for the entrepreneurial community first, and that's where he targeted his advertising, and then he and then it expanded out. And I would say again, in most cases, people run out of money is the issue. They're not willing to put the investment forward that is required in order to reach, because it takes a lot to reach mass exposure, right?
Yeah.
You need 6 or 7 exposures before someone recognizes your brand. That's a lot of money you have to spend. A lot of times you have to get in front of someone's face before they know who you are. And so most people run out of money before they do that.
Could I do this on a smaller scale without my face though? Like do it for JavaScript Jabber or Ruby Rogues, where I'm hitting a much smaller community?
Yeah. So think about it this way, right? Like if you bought advertising on, and you've seen companies do this before, but if you bought advertising on every single major podcast and all of the major blogs, right? And like if you just did an advertising blitz on everything dev related, that would get you that same effect in that community. Everyone would be like, oh yeah, I know, right? So, but it's going to be very expensive.
Would I want to do it for me? Would I want to do it for Dev Chat? Would I want to do it just for one specific show, which sounds a little more doable, a little more affordable? So for example, I could hit JavaScript or hit React or whatever.
I think there's different. So there's what makes this work and what made Tai Lopez's thing even possible. So the scam of brand advertising was that you had to treat everything, like every company got treated like it was advertising deodorant, because there was not really good ways to target. Right. I mean, there was some, like you could, target certain magazines or whatever and do your advertising there, but there was no there wasn't the ability to micro-target. What you could do, Chuck, potentially would be, have a smaller campaign where you ran ads trying to get people to sponsor your show. And that would probably be about you and Dev Chat. And
sponsor the show or listen to the show?
Sponsor. And then, like if you wanted to try to get people to listen, that's where you would go after JavaScript podcasts or whatever.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I really don't seem to have a problem getting people to sponsor the shows. I just have to go do the work. But if I could create, if the thing is it's also easier to sell sponsorships on shows that are growing and shows that are popular. And so I almost feel like the one will actually supercharge the other if I go out and advertise on behalf of JavaScript Jabber or React Roundup or something like that, and then just see if, how far I can move the needle. Because React Roundup, I think, is getting about 2,000 or 3,000 downloads per episode at this point. I know there are a ton more people out there. And I know what the appeal of the show is. I know why people listen to it. And so I'm pretty sure that I could put together an ad campaign and just go knock it out of the park. So I could go sponsor the React conferences. I could go, I could sponsor some of the podcasts. I could, get the word out that way. I could also do guest appearances on YouTube channels and podcasts, and just dump a ton of effort into it and see if I can, because if I can get it from 3 to 10,000 per episode, then I can go sell that all day long, and that basically 3x is the income from that one show. And then if they discover some of the other shows, then if those listenerships go up, they're talking about, oh, well, I listen to this React podcast, but they have a Vue podcast and you're a Vue developer. And so I can get some organic growth out of that as well. And I feel like if I could put the focus on just one area at a time for a few months and really just hammer it away, I may be able to get it to grow much more quickly than it currently does.
What's the podcast that you'd be promoting?
I'm not sure. I'm not.
What's your fastest growing podcast? Or what do you which of the niches that you're in do you think is growing the fastest?
Probably Vue.js.
Because my question is, like, if someone looks for a Vue.js podcast, do they find you automatically? They do.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
yeah, but they may not look for one.
Yeah.
I think when you get down to the really niche topics, I think people don't necessarily look for. They're not necessarily looking for that.
Is that I wouldn't pitch it as, hey, there's a View podcast. I'd pitch it as, hey, are you trying to stay current on View? Because that's what people are looking for.
Right.
Yeah, but people listen to podcasts or they don't listen to podcasts. I think it's different in this case. Like, I'm looking at like trends to.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to. I would agree with that, but I would also say that this might be worth trying because, I think there's people hear about big podcasts. Like, how often do you go and search for a podcast versus on a specific topic versus like hearing about one and subscribing? I definitely do both, but I would say that 95% of the time it's probably I hear about the podcast.
Yep.
And then I go listen to it.
Yeah, so, but are you a Vue developer? If you're a Vue.js developer and you listen to podcasts, right, then you are going to look for a Vue.js podcast, right? Like,
well, okay, here's an example. All right, so I've talked about my hobby of growing herbs and and gotten crap on that already. So we'll go there again. So what got me into this was wanting to figure. I have a lawn now that I want to figure out how to take care of it. So I was doing a bunch of research on that, and I found a podcast about organic gardening, and I started listening to that, and that was kind of interesting. Well, I've been doing all this trial and error to grow herbs, which is like a subset of gardening, right? Mm-hmm. And I didn't think to go look for houseplant podcast, but I was listening to this organic gardening podcast. Lady came on, she has a whole podcast about growing indoor plants. And so that's how I ended up. Right. So like you search for it to a certain point, and then you kind of stop, right? Because you're like, surely there's not a podcast about this specific subtopic that I'm interested in. So
yeah,
that's where the
other end of that is. I'm the same way. That's generally how I find podcasts is they'll guest appear on somebody else's show. But the other thing is that like I get into a new topic and I don't go immediately look for a podcast. I just kind of stick to my routine and I'll go look on the internet for how-tos and things like that. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the podcasts don't show up in those lists. So I'll never see it until somebody points it out to me.
Podcasts are not very SEO friendly, unfortunately. So
no.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is if I'm looking for a tutorial, I'm probably not going to find a podcast.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know that this strategy would work for you, Chuck, but it's probably worth some version of this. Yeah, I think so too. Like, and it might even look like instead of paying, you look at like trying to get on 50 podcasts and interview on 50 podcasts or something like that.
Yeah, I think I've been tempted
to do that anyway.
I was analyzing what John Lee Dumas was doing with his initial scale of the business. He was on a bunch of podcasts in the first 2 years of the business, right? He was basically getting everywhere. But the business only had 8,000 email subscribers and didn't really have anything other than the sponsorship revenue that was coming in from the business, which was 10, 20K a month or something like that. Mm-hmm. However, when he launched his Podcaster's Paradise thing, initially to his list, which did well, and then he blew it up by buying ads on Facebook to a webinar, of which John is emotionally scarred against. And that is where he found scale to like the tune of 50, 60K a month on selling that course. So yeah, I mean, getting on podcasts, doing all of those things will organically build your podcast, will organically build your following. Though I'm not sure if it organically builds or fast, it's that fast to scale to 10x your business, if that's what you're looking at, or even 2x or 3x. It's organic. It'll get you some mileage. It'll get you more and more visibility. It'll double your podcast downloads number, but doesn't mean that it doubles your email list size right away in a day.
Yeah, but
what if Chuck? What if
based on traffic?
what if part of your strategy for each podcast was having all of your panelists, like having some sort of system for all of your panelists to go do guest appearances instead of you?
That's interesting because that scales in ways that I don't.
Right, and plus they'll love it, right? Like that's hugely beneficial for them. So you come be a guest on my podcast. You like doing podcasts. You probably want to get your name out there as a guest, as a panelist on my podcast. We also have this here. Here's what else you get. You also get, we're gonna plug you into our system where we'll get you on a different podcast every month or something, and you can talk about our podcast and talk about what you're up to, et cetera, et cetera.
That's not a bad idea.
That's interesting. I like that idea. I could just go to my co-host and say, hey, look, yeah, are you good with me trying to get you on other shows?
Yeah, I think you've got to do it. They're not going to do it. That's
no.
But
the other thing is if I get that piece figured out, then when I have something to launch, then I can just set it on hyperdrive to get myself out there.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, if you have a predictable system to get on podcasts, then that's powerful. Yeah.
It might not even be worth. So here's something that I've been thinking about a lot lately. It's probably going to be my theme for 2019, which is simplifying things.
Hey, stop it! Stop it! Stealing my ideas here.
I've become
from my video.
In the last few weeks, I've become a big convert of Sam Ovens.
Last week, you become a convert of my video of simplification. That's the problem.
It was my idea.
And now you're attributing it to freaking some random dude who's not even on the
show.
No. All praise Manning. Hail Manning.
I was thinking about this 4 weeks ago.
Stop it.
I was thinking about it 5 weeks ago. 6
abs.
Do I hear 7? 7?
So anyway,
I've been thinking about this.
One of the things that he was talking about is cutting things like I sent you guys that video, but productivity, the illusion of productivity, essentially like cutting things out is more important than adding things on. Mm-hmm. And he had this really interesting diagram where he was like drawing like, the circle and like, going in different directions, like all the kind of things that you're spread out to demonstrate focus. And another circle where you're just going one direction and you're going 9 inches deep. And that's what he used terminology. So
more like 4 inches.
So anyway, it made a lot of sense, right? I was thinking about this more, and I was thinking about just like, just like what I'm doing in general, right? Is like, I'm doing a ton of shit, and I'm above average at most of the stuff, but not excellent, right? And that's the problem. It's like above average gets you like 50% of the results. Like excellent gets you like 250% of the results. Like there's like this exponential curve when you're number one, when you're the top, when you're right at performing at that level. And so if you take and again I'm just making up numbers, but if you do 5 above average pursuits and you add them up, then that's 50%, 250 points, let's say. But if you just do one excellent pursuit, that's 250 points. But the effort required to do one excellent one would be maybe 70% of what's required to do 5 above average and get the same. So if you're right, so there's this kind of benefit to focus there. So what I'm looking at was it?
No, I just wanted to throw an example there. Yesterday, on my Facebook feed, I saw what's his name, one of the CEO of Early to Rise. I don't know if you know the guy. Early to Rise. He was recently on Facebook teaching a course on how to monetize Instagram, like, or at least advertising this course. And I'm like, dude, I thought you were the productivity guy. I thought you were this. Why the fuck are you doing this? Like, what the fuck's going on? And in my mind, I was like, all sorts of alarm bells went off. I'm like, this guy is not to be trusted anymore. Like, it was all subconscious. I'm like, this guy's just randomly selling shit. What the fuck's going on here?
Right. So yeah, and it does create that perception as well. But yeah, that's what I've been thinking about. And the other thing, they said in so basically I've been looking at like reducing things, like looking at, again, Pareto's law, the 80-20 principle. What are the 20% of things that are producing 80% of the results? How can I narrow down the focus? There's a lot of concepts I'm planning out right now, goals and stuff. And one of the other things that he said that really stuck with me, that actually stuck a needle, an arrow into my heart, was he was like, oh, when I look at people and they have multiple businesses, I know they're probably making money, but they're not making a lot of money. Right? And he's like, because they can't be, or when their businesses has multiple products for sale, right? And so, just to give you background on Sam Ovens, he's got one funnel, one product, $20 million a year. He owns consulting.com, right? And he teaches people how to start consulting businesses. That's his very simple, right? But he's perfected
that. To spend $100 million to get that URL,
probably. But
he's almost got it paid off then.
Yeah.
But so what I'm looking at, like, doing, is, and we should talk about this, Josh, for doing this for simple programmers too. Right? Like, we should cut shit out. But I was looking at, what I'm looking at doing is basically, like, I made a list of everything I do in life, and like I'm going to eliminate all the things that are unnecessary, right? That don't make sense. And but the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to pick like a few goals, right? So I call them aspirations, because they're not like any goal that you can't directly control, I call an aspiration. And then but you can make goals out of them, right? So so like, for example, like on the fitness side, right now I'm fucking running, 50 miles a week, training for a marathon. I'm hitting the gym and lifting weights and doing, trying to do diet routine to get to low body fat percentages and keep that. And I'm doing Muay Thai. And I had actually kind of a revelation this week, because I got the instructor kneed me in the ribs during sparring and broke my ribs, or fractured my rib. So that sucked, because that,
so everybody, let's try to make John laugh as much as possible.
Doesn't hurt as
Find
bad.
someone to give him a big hug. Big, huge hug.
He's vulnerable. Kick him.
The worst thing is when you fart when you have broken ribs. It's like but anyway, it made me realize, like, it fucked up my marathon. I can't run. Like, I mean, I forced myself to run like 15 painful fucking miles, right, where every step hurt, and I realized, like, but I couldn't run fast, and like my marathon time is gonna be screwed up for next week. If I can, hopefully I'll be able to run, it won't be too painful, but it kind of like mess up everything. I can't lift in the gym, right? And so now my diet and eating is screwed up as well. And it's like all this stuff. And so I was like, well, so wait, why am I doing Muay Thai again? Right. And so when I draw that back, I'm like, it doesn't really connect to a goal. Because I could say, well, it's fun, or I enjoy it, or like, it's good exercise. I'll lower my body fat. But
you definitely need that.
It doesn't really, because you get more hungry anyway. And so I'm like, okay, what is my goal, right? So like for 2019, I put the goal of, or my aspiration of, like, getting down to 7% body fat on the scale. So it's a quantifiable. This is like, let's stop fucking around. This is the plan, right? So if that's the goal, do I actually need to run 50 miles a week and spend 8 hours a week running? No. Do I need to do Muay Thai 3 hours a week and risk, broken ribs and shit? No. I need to lift weights, yes, because the goal is to, is part of it is a physique, right? And really all I need to do is get the diet under check completely. So all I really need to do to achieve that goal, the key thing is to get in the gym. And in fact, I don't even need to gain muscle. So Manny, you'll kind of like this one. So I don't really need to do 2-hour workouts. I only need to maintain the muscle that I have, which is Manny will like this because he said this to me before. He's like, dude, all you need to do is just maintain it, right? So I could probably get away with, honestly, to achieve this goal, all I really need to do is probably hit the gym 3 times a week, 1 hour each time, just 3 hours a week. That's it. And then I thought, okay, I can just hire a meal planning service to just drop off my fucking meals every week, and I just eat those meals. And that's it. I don't have to go to the store. I don't have to shop. I don't have to cook. I don't have to plan meals. All I have to do is just go to the gym 3 times a week and stick to my 1 meal a day and use a meal service. And bam, that goal is done. And I've simplified. Now I've freed myself up a good, like, probably 10 to 12 hours a week. Right. And I'll be more likely to hit the goal than when I was doing all this stuff trying to hit the goal. So less is more. And so I'm going to take every single one of those goals. I'm looking at the same thing for YouTube, is instead of doing 2 videos a day, I'm looking at doing 1 video a day, or perhaps only 3 videos a week, but specifically spending more time researching on what video will do the best, getting the perfect title and description in there, and producing the video better so that it has a hook and flow.
That's something I've been advocating for a long time.
Yeah. Because one of my aspirations that I wrote down was to get to 400,000 YouTube subscribers, right? And so how can I do that again with the least amount of effort, but the most focus and right? And instead of doing 2 videos a day, if I do 3 videos a week, but they're extremely focused effort on optimizing those videos, making them go further, right? Same thing. So, and I think that's something that we should do with Simple Programmers, go and look at all of our product lines and everything and just start cutting shit, and then just looking at what makes us money, or even what we want to focus on, and just focus really narrow, really hard on those things, right? And again, when I was looking back at life and thinking about success and where I've had success, one of the most successful things that I've done from a financial perspective in life is doing Pluralsight courses, right? And what did I do when I did those Pluralsight courses? I just focused and I busted out 55 courses over like a 2.5-year period, just doing boom, 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 just singular focus on doing that. And even if we look at Simple Programmer, what is actually the most profitable thing that we have in Simple Programmer, consistently profitable?
The book.
It's the book, right? And that's was
honestly the only thing at this point.
But that was a singular focus, like make this the best. Like when I wrote,
year product, year-long product.
When I worked on writing that book, it was like I wanted to make the best book there was on software development. Like it had to be excellent level, and that paid off. And so again, it's like it's all these things, right? I was just thinking the other day, and we've kind of talked about this a little bit, Josh, but like blog, we've got all these bloggers that are writing blog posts for us, but are any of those actually effective at all? Now, granted, we're not paying a lot of money because we're just paying the editor. We're not paying the bloggers. But would it make more sense? Here's a good question, but we should answer at some point. Would it make more sense to pay one writer the entire amount that we're paying our editing team, right? Just to produce maybe one
blog post a month.
Yeah, or maybe one every 2 weeks or something along those lines that is highly researched, that is highly optimized, that they're doing SEO for, that they're going out and promoting as well. They're answering questions on Quora to promote their, something where we set up something that it's going to be where they're maybe even doing some link building on their own blog posts or some system or process like that.
Right.
Or maybe we should create more books, right? That are like, whatever it is, like I think there's a lot of cutting out. So,
so this will be my thought for the week too. But so have you heard of the 21-20 rule? So the 21-20 rule, just like the easiest way to explain it is that the top 20% of your efforts generate 80% of your results. The bottom 20% of your efforts, the top 20% generates 120% of your results. The rest brings you back down to 100. And this your Muay Thai. This is true.
Here?
What's that?
What's 21?
21-20. So you're 120. So Muay Thai is a good example, right, John?
Oh,
so like
20, 120.
Yeah,
okay,
20,
okay. Yeah.
120. Yeah. So Muay Thai is a good example. Like you broke your rib.
Right.
Well, right. And maybe your legs were tired from doing that. So
Right.
you were less effective on your run. So like that extra effort actually detracted from your goal.
Exactly.
Well,
And this
to go even
happens
further. Do you actually need to run marathons to get to 7% body fat?
Well, exactly. And that's why I'm cutting that out.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Because that's my more important goal.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you can do running as a recreational thing just to clear your mind and all those things, which it is good for, but it doesn't have to be like an obsession where it's taking other areas of life down.
Unless my goal, unless the thing that I really want to do in life is run a sub 3 hour marathon or whatever it is,
Right.
which is fine to pick that goal. But when you have simultaneously conflicting goals and it causes you to spread in multiple directions, that is the problem.
Right.
Well, I don't think your Muay Thai and your marathons conflicted until you got injured, right? And so some of these are more potentially, or to Josh's point, it takes the energy from one to do the other.
Exactly.
I mean that's a conflict.
Well,
but otherwise, the injury itself was counterproductive as opposed to.
Well, there's always the odds of it. Like I'm always being injured in Muay Thai, just on the feet, and running injures the feet too. Which it's like, but another aspect of it too is just energy in general, right? Yeah. So all of this stuff hurts my productivity in business. Even if I'm sitting there and I think I'm doing my best work, there's no when your body is fatigued, you cannot be possibly doing now some level of exercise.
Boy, and I can attest to that this week. One thing that I want, I'm not going to talk about my prostate on this thing. Anyway, but I think the point that I was trying to make is some of the drain is energy and some of the drain is risk.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's just a matter of just juggling things, focus, time, right? All of these things, right? So one thing I also did as well, which I'm doing, is in my weekly planning, right? My Kanban planning, I had a bunch of stuff in like the next week in the later column, right? And I took all that stuff and I made a new board, okay, that is projects. And what I decided that I was going to do is I've got all the stuff related. So instead of working on what I was doing was like, oh, I need to do make some t-shirts for Bulldog Mindset, and I need to do this for Simple Programmer and this. I decided that what I'm going to start doing is I'm only going to work on projects, right? And so all of the tasks will be specifically for that project. Right. I mean, there might be, some one-offs like recording videos and stuff, but in general, instead of working on pieces of stuff all over the place, essentially it's multitasking, have one specific project and just work everything on that week for that schedule will all be related to that exact same project on moving that forward. So that's like having a goal, right? Like a focus rather than split focus.
Yeah. I mean, I would really like to do this for Simple Programmer. I have been this.
So you're telling me Simple Programmer is much more complicated and complex than it is simple.
Yeah. I mean, this idea has been on my mind for a long time. And what I haven't been able to do with Simple Programmer is find the thing that's worth working on like that, if that makes sense. Right. And that's where right now, honestly, the only thing on the docket right now for Simple Programmer that I could see being worth focusing on is the Facebook advertising. And if that works, then great. If not, we need to figure something else out.
I'm with agreement with the conversation I had with John and you guys earlier, and with John in the gym, I guess a couple of days ago, that all you need is a $1,000 product and market the fuck out of it. A high quality $1,000 product and market the fuck out of it. Like too many stories of people who have hundreds of products and don't make shit. But on the other hand, someone who has one product, just like what Sam once was saying, one product but market the fuck out of it is one product that's actually high ticket enough to be able to market it, because low ticket doesn't really justify that marketing.
And if it's high quality enough that people get results, really good results, that it's 10x the value, that you're getting organic word of mouth on it, and then every conversation you ever have with anyone about is always the same conversation. It's always, hey, do you know about my do you know about this program? This is what I do. I teach you how to do this. And this is it. And every single email you send, and every single advertisement, every blog post, and every YouTube video you make, and every podcast is all the same fucking thing. It's all basically taking you to this one thing, because that's the only conversation that you have is this one thing that you do.
And that's that's really what I want.
While you guys are doing this testing, couldn't you also test like different variants of the titles of the product rather than just job interviews? Like look at all the different high ticket products in your marketplace and look at what are the things that people want to buy the most, and then go create that product.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if job interviews will end up being
then
the thing that we ultimately
continue to spend time on that? But
because we're gonna have to find
that.
It's
advertising
hard.
Will find that for you.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm agreeing with what you're saying. I mean, I just like we're gonna have to experiment with different offers. Is the point? Yeah. So
I've got to bail on like 10 minutes.
The offer is what I'm saying. You just have to put the offer in front of the customer as if they can buy, or a landing page. And at that point, if enough people are showing interest at a good enough price point for something that can be sold at $1,000, that's the one you should be doing. I mean, job interviews, the danger with job interviews is that it's very time bound, as in you have to get that right person at the right time to want to do this. Otherwise, you're shit out of luck. It might be the perfect target audience, but they just don't need the damn thing right now.
Yeah.
That's why paid advertising is good for this one, whereas organic is not.
You don't know who is in the market right now. It's very hard to target that shit.
No, they're the ones that are clicking. You're only paying for the people that click.
But you're spending dollars on, ultimately, Facebook is ultimately going to charge you for how much time you're spending on displaying your ads on their network. Ultimately, that's what Facebook is trading money for. Even though you call it click, Facebook really
it all comes down to a CPM.
Ultimately, all networks, all ad networks boils down to CPM. They give you all these different variants for you to simplify things. But everything in the Facebook realm is CPM. Any realm of advertising is CPM only, nothing else.
Yeah.
That's the only metric that when Mark Zuckerberg is looking at it, he's like, okay, what's the CPM? Everything else doesn't count.
True.
And he doesn't care how many clicks he drove to you. All the shit is useless. So in that regard, if the ad cannot perform well enough because of the number of impressions compared to the number of clicks, then you have a hard time trying to make it profitable consistently.
Ultimately, though, I mean, again, this is just a test to get the Facebook advertising working and to get this whole thing going. But
we're talking about simplicity here.
Well, the simplicity is this. This is what I see, and Josh, feel free to disagree, but this is kind of the vision that I'm seeing based on all of these pieces coming together, which is this, is ultimately what I think we want to do at Simple Programmer is teach people, is the career guide, is a software developer career guide, is basically teach people how to, everything they need to know to be successful as a software developer in their career, right? The soft skills aspect of it. And to basically promote that this is essentially, the bootcamp. That's the most successful thing we've had as far as the book. If we create $1,000 program or course based on that, around that idea, once we can do that and we just promote the hell out of that, and that's what we push people to, and that's the thing that we advertise, then I think that will ultimately be the
why
thing.
Are you waiting on it? Why are you doing all this random testing? I mean, we're talking about simplicity. We're talking about the new year. We're talking about doing the fewest possible things. Why waste time and energy on something that isn't really the thing that you want to spend time and energy on in the long term. Why not just go for the damn thing, the software developer's career guide, go all in on that and make that damn thing work, or at least test it out to see if that hypothesis is true or not.
What he said.
That is, I would say that's a very good point. The only thing I would say in our defense is that we have a product that is fairly complete, and the creating what John is talking about is going to be a year-long endeavor. So
it's not
getting something sooner rather than later.
Okay, let me tell you.
It'll be a year-long endeavor, and it will require my time, and we have to survive until then. And so while we're ultimately,
let me ask you this, Josh. Have you heard of the 20-120 rule? Okay. To go back to this discussion, I don't think it requires an year of your time. That's just that you were just making this shit up because you guys are not ready to actually spend maybe even 3 months of your time to just go all in on this and make it. Because John, very well that if
it took us a year. Launching the book took 4 solid months of just launching the book.
Yeah. So between the two of you, between content and marketing, within 3 months, you guys can hash anything out. Like, this is not hard. I find it very hard.
Fair. Okay.
3 months
if we just had a singular focus on this for 3 months, yes.
Yeah. If you do the 30, 40, 50 videos for the next 3 months and forget about it, and then just turn on the spigot on this and go all in singular focus. Let's make this in Q1. Let's make this damn thing work on our list. And then go to Facebook advertising and then make it work on Facebook advertising and blow that shit up. That sounds like more of what we're talking along the lines of simplification. Like, test the fuck out of it on your list, see what the interest is, see how far it goes, and then scale the hell out of it on the bigger platform, whatever it is, YouTube, Facebook, go ads, go Ty Lopez on this shit. Because now you have a tested product, $1,000 product that you have been able to test with your audience, that it works, it delivers the results. And to build the product isn't really that hard, because I believe if you guys just launched some sort of a mastermind with John tomorrow that offers all these things, and people would get dripped out content while you guys are building, you would still pay for the next 3 months, because that mastermind would take care of all of that, and you would build out the product.
That's a really interesting idea, actually. Like, if we basically pretend like we already had the complete software developer career guide, $1,000 product, and
masterclass, whatever.
And what it was at first, we could sell it now, but it was a mastermind, and it was live or whatever. But that was a temporary thing while we're building out the real deal, and we're learning what to build with it. That could actually make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and that would basically pay enough for the 2 or 3 months that you need to build. And not only that, the recordings can be used for the course itself while you're doing those live versions of it.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Then everything else becomes a bonus. All those other courses that you guys have in the pipeline, all of that shit is just a bonus that you sell on top of it as a timed bonus or whatever for selling the course.
All right, I got to bail because I got to get some lunch and stuff before I have a call with
me.
Well, with me.
Okay.
I was gonna say with an affiliate, and I was like, "Oh wait, he's on the call." So yeah. But yeah, so I'm just gonna throw my thought out and bail, and then if you guys want to keep talking, you can. But I've been listening to the 10x rule, like I said, and it really kind of opened me up to some ideas where I was thinking way too small.
Yeah.
And I have some things in life that I want to accomplish. The marathon is still on the list, but I also realize that there are a couple of causes that I want to give a significant amount of money to, and I have to earn that money first. So in order for me to do that and reach that significant level of being able to be generous and to take care of my family and all of the other things that I want to do, yeah, I've got to up my game, and it starts with upping my thinking. And so, just, I've been looking at my goals and saying, okay, let's 10x this thing, let's do 10 times the effort. Of course, a lot of that means being smarter about it because I don't have 10 times the time. But the flip side of it is that, then I can get 10 times the results. And so I'm just going to go bust it out and get her done and, get to the point where I can go and do the things that I want to do. And it's no longer just, oh, well, I just want to be able to pay the bills and stuff. It's, I want to go out and I really want to, make my mark on these particular things. And that means that I've got to go out and I've got to go make it happen because, I could coast and I'd probably be fine for the rest of my life, but I wouldn't be happy with the outcome, I guess. I might be content, satisfied. I didn't screw up the important stuff, kind of content, but I wouldn't be, it's not what I want.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's kind of where I came in with that stuff.
Nice.
All right, carry on. I'm going to bail.
All right.
All right, check.
I have an admin type question. So we don't have any Entreprogrammers subgroups anymore, which means that we don't have anyone paying into the PayPal account, which means that we don't have money to pay Eric, essentially. And we're also paying $80 a month for those feeds.
Let's here's what I would suggest that we do. We don't have any subgroups anymore.
Nope.
Well, hey, cutting shit out. Let's cut shit out.
Yeah.
Let's simplify this as much as possible, right?
I'm up for it.
We really do not need editing for Entreprogrammers podcasts. Not a lot of people really watch anyway. Hello, 3 live viewers, though. You guys are awesome. But what I'm saying is that like we can just upload the lives to YouTube, right? Which we're doing anyway. These are live.
To Libsyn, you mean?
Well, to YouTube, and then what we could do is we can just have Rodrigo upload just add him a task of just take the YouTube video from Entreprogrammers and just upload it as a podcast episode.
Okay.
We can even have him put the intro or whatever that we'll have to listen. I don't even know what we're putting for the intro anymore, but
okay.
But
that's
all we have to do, and then we can cancel all the other Libsyn accounts. We'll keep the main Entreprogrammers one, and then we'll just it'll just cost us what, $20 a month, I think, Josh, for
right.
And then a little bit of
40
Rodrigo's
for
no, it's probably 20.
Huh?
20 for the size that we have, which is like 4 hours of content.
Okay, we get I'm pretty sure there's one feed that gets billed at $40 a month. So
that you might have unnecessarily. You don't need it because
awesome.
I pay $20 a month for my podcast, and that's more content than this.
Okay. But basically, it'll cost us like $20 or $40 a month, and then maybe an hour of Rodrigo's time, which is another, and then since Simple Programmer owns Entreprogrammers anyway, I don't. It doesn't hurt if we pay that. So.
Okay. So do we have to do anything to upload the live?
It's already.
They're already uploaded. So all we have to do is just have him take those videos and slap the intro on it and upload it.
He doesn't even have to do that.
Do you need intros?
We don't need. Let's just. Oh, you mean for the podcast?
Yeah, for the podcast.
Yeah, for the podcast. That's all he's got to do.
Do we have a YouTube feed? I'm not aware of a YouTube feed that we're updating.
It's just our YouTube channel. It just.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought the lives just went up there automatically.
They do. So there's no. But what was happening was, Eric was editing the live, editing it, putting the little intro at the beginning, and then re-uploading it
to YouTube.
Yeah, and then taking show note. No, to YouTube, and then and then on the Entreprogrammers site. So let me see what. Yeah. And then he was putting some show notes in there.
Right.
Which
We could just
we don't-
kill.
We can kill the show notes.
Yep. Kill the show notes.
For
No
the
need.
site, we could just have, again, Rodrigo just drop the,
Video.
just the link to the live in there.
Okay.
And there might even be a way that we can just automate the, I'm trying to see. It's got the YouTube video in there. Oh, and then it's got the Libsyn. I don't know if it even needs to have both.
I mean, we could probably, if we really wanted to go extreme, I really think we could script. Like, there's probably I know I've used FFmpeg to trim audio files. And splice audio files. So we could probably write a 1-line Bash or PowerShell script that would slap the intro and outro on the MP3.
That's true.
To where it's not even, it's just basically just the mechanics of downloading it and then re-uploading it, run the script, re-upload it.
Yep.
Okay.
But yeah, we've got that, and then we've got like the Entre Programmers site. I wanted to see how many downloads that we were getting on the actual podcast.
Well, at some point you have to question if a mastermind needs to be broadcasted and podcasted and all those things in terms of, and just like in the overall simplification of life, is that a requirement or not?
Like, are you talking about ending the podcast element of this?
Yeah, ending the fact that we have to put it out to the world on a feed or a podcast or anything like that, and just let it be something that we guys talk internally, so that we don't even have to like filter some of the stuff that we filter a lot of times. Like, oh, I shouldn't say this, or I shouldn't talk about that, or I shouldn't talk about that person XYZ. It's simpler, it's less complicated, and it just makes for smooth operation for all of us.
Well,
At some point.
Yeah, I'm looking at the stats to see what our like total uniques, like our downloads are.
It would be simpler. There have been a lot of really good opportunities that have come out of this, and connections and things.
But that's always going to be the case for whatever we do. Like, there's always going to be new opportunities that come because of XYZ things we did. But is it always
No, I mean, that's
beneficial?
That's valid.
I mean, the 2120 is pretty hardcore there. Have you heard of 2120?
I have actually.
I'm just kidding. But I mean, I'm just like, I am with you guys on the whole simplification thing. It's almost like the simplification rabbit hole goes so deep, we don't even realize how far we are keeping ourselves away from it.
Yeah.
We're thinking we're simplifying, and I feel the same. Like, I'm as guilty as anyone else is of thinking that I'm simplifying, but I'm only complicating the shit out of the whole thing. Like, oh yeah.
Well, here's the most seductive one is like, I'll simplify this. I'm gonna automate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And then there's the XKCD cartoon about like the time spent automating something, and then how much time it saves you, and then how much time you spend maintaining the automation, which. Like, that's what in my track about, I did that. I automated the entire iOS app deployment process to run out of Jenkins. And the thing, it worked flawlessly when I tested it. We never actually were able to use it for release. It broke. Apple broke something every time. And then I'd spend another day and a half trying to fix it.
So here's what we're looking at for podcasts. Okay. In October, we had 7,700 downloads. In November, we had 3,700. In December, we had 5,300 of Entre Programmers. So that's a pretty decent amount. I think it's worth keeping the podcasts around for that. It doesn't. Well, here's the other way to look at it, because I'm tempted to just do what you said, Manny, but at the same time, if we can just have it so that we have essentially if all it costs us is like $20 a month for Libsyn and an hour of Rodrigo's time for us to have the podcast, it's probably worth it, right? Like it doesn't create it won't create any complications for us. We don't have any logic to overhead or to manage. All we have to do is one time just train Rodrigo on the process of what needs to be done, and then that's it.
I mean, I think I can probably draw fuzzy dotted lines to a lot of money that we made. I mean, like, you know, even like you know, a lot of the connections at MicroConf, a lot of the people at MicroConf, you know, I don't honestly, it's very possible that the deal we did with Interview Cake, which has made us like 60 or 70 grand, wouldn't have happened without this show.
Yeah.
Right. So,
yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, I'm like thinking hard about the whole simplicity thing, just like what John's talking about. And what I realized, or what I think sometimes about, is the idea that all of that is true. All of those opportunities that come as a result of podcasting, YouTubing, blogging, SEOing, all of that is real. But what if none of that existed and we were just doing that one thing that we were really good at? Is it possible that that shit itself would have grown much more than any of these opportunities would have been worth? It's a difficult question to ask or answer, but it's a question that I'm trying to figure out myself. So.
No, that's a good, that's a good question. As far as like the Entre Programmers podcast, again, I think we're meeting on the mastermind anyway. We're spending the time. So if it doesn't cost us anything really, like versus time to manage it, then it makes sense to just publish it. And it's just bonus opportunities that could come from there. But in general, to answer your question at the larger scheme, that's a good question. It's like if you didn't focus on creating content, or like, well, on creating a volume of content, but on creating just like something really, really good, it just deeply focused stuff, would you have a better outcome?
Yeah, I think,
or if it was directed towards the specific course you were selling, every piece of content directed in some ways was intentional towards the course that was being sold. Every piece of advertising, every piece of email, then it becomes very simple, kind of.
And that's kind of been, that's the dilemma with Simple Programmer as it currently exists, is because it's like we talked about, it's that fracturing of different topics.
I'm going to buy the domain Complex Programmer and give it to you guys. Till you guys simplify it, you have to.
Well, yeah, I mean, what we need, like, I feel like what we have, I've said this a couple times now into different people, but I feel like what we have at the moment is a really kick-ass funnel for John's coaching. Simple Programmer. Well, but so we need to figure out how to take that and like bottle it up, and that's what I've been struggling with. I haven't been able to do it.
Well, myself. You just gave the answer to the question we were asking 5, 10, 15 minutes ago, which is like the 3 months that you guys are claiming it'll take to do this course. That's exactly what John can sell for the next 3 months, and in the process build out the course, and that's it. Then you guys can keep selling the damn, like, look at all the different angles in which you can approach this complete software developer's guide. Get promoted, make more money, close, get high quality jobs. The get interview thing, that can just be a bonus, or it can be just one of the courses you guys sell as part of the whole thing, right? Get interviews, get jobs, market yourself, make more money, develop soft skills. Like, all of these are different angles to selling the same damn thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Rather than selling those pieces one by one. But if you guys, which I find it pretty, I think if this would be an interesting thing, if you guys sent out an email after, of course, the Dan Lok thing and all of that shit subsides, you sent an email saying, we're doing this. This is the career guide live. If you are interested, sign up for this live and let's see what happens. So you might get enough money to be able to keep the business going for 3 months while people pay for the live experience.
Yeah. the only thing that I need to do before I can do that is get the loose ends tied up with the Bulldog Mindset stuff that I'm still in the process of working. Once I get, I've got it almost to the point where it's ready for it to just be just making a few YouTube videos.
Do you want it to be Bulldog Mindset? And like, do you still want it like that, or like in this game of simplicity, would you rather not just have those two businesses and just go with one that works?
Yeah, I want to do the YouTube and the Bulldog Mindset stuff. So
no, I'm saying like, remember we're talking about the, what's his name?
Sam Evans.
Sam Evans, and like he was saying, hey, you have multiple businesses. That means you're not making enough money on both. Like, if you took that to heart, would you still want to keep those two, or would you say, screw it, man, let's just combine it all into one mega thing that we push all our energy and effort into and make that damn thing grow?
Well, Bulldog Mindset isn't really a design to make, like, the goal of it is not to make money. It's more to just do the YouTube content that I want to create, but I still want to do it effectively, right? So so I'm going to simplify things quite a bit there.
Yeah, these are pretty challenging things. I'm freaking I thought it would take me like a few days to think about 2019. It's taken me more than a week to think about 2019 now. Like, I'm still like revving my engines with all the different opportunities in front of me and thinking like, okay, well, no, this, maybe advertising, no, get published, or blah, blah, blah. It's like fucking shit is, it's pretty hard to, it's very seductive to not say no to opportunities.
Yeah.
Right. It's very seductive to say yes to the opportunity because it feels like the answer. It's okay. So here's my probably a leap of faith here, but I feel only when we don't believe in the process do we get seduced by the opportunities.
Right.
That's only true. When we don't believe in the fundamentals do we get seduced by opportunities. If we believe that the fundamentals are right, and if we believe that the process will work, then opportunities cannot really shake us.
Right.
But otherwise, we can get sidetracked all the time.
Right, because they're hedging your bets is what the opportunities are. It's like,
yeah. The opportunity in some way is telling us that, hey, if you do this, you'll make some money and then you'll be okay. Or you might make a lot of money because this opportunity might blow up.
Yeah.
But the truth is, the process mindset always tells us there is nothing that will blow up all by itself. You have to do the work to make the one thing blow up, rather than try to do the work to make 10 things blow up, in which case nothing blows up.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I think again, part of it too that I'm looking at too is that it's like you just need to be singular focused at any given time, right? So even with your goals, like if you have like 4 goals for the year, you just like pick one of those goals and just hammer it out until you hit that goal and then move on to the next goal, as opposed to trying to do 4 goals simultaneously. Now, some things could be done simultaneously, like, if you have a fitness goal, right, and you have a business goal, those can be done simultaneously because you can't devote all your time to a fitness goal. Like there's no, it takes time for the body to recover. However you're going to do it, like there's nothing that you could do that you could add more time and actually move that ball forward. So, but with the business goals, like, one of the things that I was looking at is like, like I've got some, one of them is like $1 million in simple programmer revenues that I've been thinking about. And another of them would be like 400,000 YouTube subscribers, right? So focusing on one of those at a time, right, until that one is done, and then move to the other one, as opposed to trying to do both of those simultaneously.
So and this is actually my biggest problem with the 10X rule, is that I feel like in that book, he tells you just need to 10X everything. And you just like find all these things that are important to you, and you just 10x them all. It's like you can't do that.
Yeah,
you can 10x one thing
at a time.
At a time.
Yeah.
Yep.
That I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Because I already tried that. 2018
Yeah.
was the year of me 10xing everything.
Right.
Basically,
yeah, I've tried it too, and I blew myself up.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's very true. Actually, what you're talking about, John, is I feel like you've just been reading The One Thing and then talking about Sam Owens instead. Because in The One Thing, they talk about how success is sequential, not simultaneous. Like that's one of the key concepts there.
Here's one for you, Manny. You're not going to like this one. I was like, one of the things I'm doing is I'm reading a lot of books. Right? So I'm like, you know what? Right. I mean, I'm reading them while I'm running, so okay. But if I cut out the running, am I still going to listen to audiobooks and read books? And I'm kind of coming to the. I'm not saying that I won't read, that I won't read any books, but I don't need to read 60 to 70 books a year anymore because guess what? What's that?
I agree with you.
Yeah, because guess what happens? Like, okay, the first year of reading 60 to 70 books, mind blown, fucking like huge amounts of wisdom and knowledge, right? Like, oh, like light years ahead of what your thinking was before, because you're introduced to all these concepts, you know, psycho-cybernetics and Think and Grow Rich and all the, you know, built to sell and right. You know, all these kind of things, right? But at this point in life, I've read almost all of the top books that you can read, like that exists in history. I've read, you know, 95% of the top, you know, 1% of books. So the amount of knowledge that I get, like every time I read a book now, I mean, maybe I get like one small kernel, but I have to spend 8 hours to get one small kernel.
Right? I agree. So that's like, why you should be reading to professional readers like me and just consume my summaries. I mean, I agree with you. That's true for all of you guys who are listening or watching the Entreprogrammers right now. Go to 2000books.com, subscribe to my podcast, subscribe to my video.
While you're all of you who are watching the Entreprogrammers at the moment, where Manny kills it,
and who are listening to the podcast in the next couple of weeks, make sure you subscribe to my summaries because John is 100% right. Let me do the reading. You guys just buy the damn summaries. That's your only thing to do.
But yeah, that's what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to stop reading books and putting that on because I actually, even yesterday when I went for a run, the rib thing actually helped me because I couldn't listen to audiobooks while running because there's just so much pain, right? Like I couldn't even listen to music. It was like, so it's just so fucking painful to run. So all I was left with was my thoughts. And I was like, you know what, actually spending an hour just thinking is actually more beneficial to me right now than read. Now, this doesn't apply to everyone, right? Like I firmly believe that the couple of years I spent reading 60 to 70 books a year was just critical in moving
cycles,
my thinking.
Especially like if you get into something else, you're going to go through that cycle, you know, like if there's some new area of your life you want to develop, you're going to go through that cycle with that.
Right. And it may be that, you know, you pick a specific book for a specific purpose to learn a thing, but my you know, binge reading habit is not actually beneficial anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stop it.
I agree with my full heart. Let me do the reading. No, that's true. That's true. Like for most of us, we don't need to do all of that reading all the time. All we need to do is be able to figure out what are the important things we need to read right now and like focus on those rather than having to read all the damn thing all the time. And I think there is a shit ton of value in just focusing on one book for extended periods of time. Something like Think and Grow Rich or The One Thing or one of those books is literally life-changing all by itself.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you feel the urge to learn about productivity, well, then you can spend 6 hours studying 50 greatest books on productivity when you buy my productivity course.
I think you guys coordinated this whole segment of the show here.
And if you want, there is some sort of coupon, I'm sure, that Simple Programmer will provide you guys. Man,
but yeah, I'm gonna cut a lot of stuff out too. The one other thing too that I realized kind of with this whole thing too is like the bar, and maybe this will be my thought for the week, which is this: is that the bar in which you used to beat yourself up with is arbitrary, right? So we set a bar, right? Sometimes we do this with a to-do list. Sometimes we do this with Pomodoro or whatever we do. We set this bar of what we expect to get done in the day or whatever, right? And then we don't hit it, and then we beat ourselves. We feel like failures. And what we don't realize is that where that bar was set was arbitrary. It did, like, we didn't, like, I mean, for the most part, we didn't set the bar very purposefully. It was kind of just an arbitrary bar. And so, oh, I didn't get this done this week, so therefore I am a loser and a failure. Or even, you know, whatever the goal, monetary goal, or whatever it is, it's like we set numbers, and that's it. It doesn't. It doesn't. So the lesson from this is simply this, right? Is a lot of times the solution to your problem, as far as motivation, as far as everything, is just to set the bar a little bit lower, since it's arbitrary anyway. And then when you do that, then you should be consistently going above the bar before you move it higher, right? So let's take an example, right? You know, in my mind, I'm like, oh, I in my heart, I want to do 10 Pomodori per day. Okay, that's great. It's awesome, you know. But if I set that as my goal, okay, and then I'm hitting like 7 or 8 most days, I'm getting interrupted. Like there's things coming up. I'm, you know, whatever it is, and I'm hitting 7 or 8, and I'm feeling like a failure every single day. I'm getting less motivated over time, okay, because I keep on failing. Now that bar is arbitrary. So if I set that bar, if I take the exact same performance I have now, okay, and I set that bar to 6 Pomodoro per day, okay, and now I'm hitting 7 or 8, I'm a fucking superhero. I'm awesome. It's a totally different perspective, even though I'm doing the same exact amount of work. Now, what I'm not suggesting that you set bars super low and then call yourself a god, but what I'm saying is that you should set the bar lower than the point of your actual achievement until you consistently achieve, and then you inch the bar up a little bit at a time until you reach a threshold where you're no longer hitting the performance. This way you consistently stay motivated, because there's no point in beating yourself up for like if you're going to have the same performance either way, you should make it so that so you're in a positive mood rather than a negative one, which means
it's about momentum.
Lower. Yeah.
So
exactly.
Dave Ramsey in his debt snowball approach, like people are always like, well, I want to pay off my highest interest credit card first. And he's like, no, you pay off the one with the smallest balance first, because that you know, and you go smallest balance to largest balance, because that's how you build momentum. It's not about the math. It's about the mental game of, you know, doing something that's going to take you 5 years.
Yeah. I'm going to add to what John is saying here. Like, we've heard so many times the quote, the 40-hour work week. 40 hours is what you need to work. I actually, in the beginning of the year, I committed, okay, I'm going to do 100 Pomodoros a week. Now, it sounds ludicrous. Like, it sounds kind of ridiculous that you would attempt to do 100 Pomodoros a week. But when you do the numbers on it, it's actually 2,500 minutes, which is 41 hours and 40 minutes. But to all of you guys who are listening, if you are able to do 100 Pomodoros of focused work, I would love to hear from you. Send me an email, manny@2000books.com, MANI@2000books.com. Let's chat about it. I'll keep you accountable. You keep me accountable, because I'm trying pretty hard here. And like, I got only 50 Pomodoros done in the last 4 days. And I'm like, there's no way I'm hitting 100 this week. But that's like the peak. We're talking 40 hours. Like, people look down upon 40 hours as a bad thing. I'm saying, God damn, if you can do 40 hours of like Pomodoro work, you are fucking killing it. Most people are not doing 40 hours of Pomodoro work. They're doing 40 hours of sitting in front of a desk and shuffling papers or finding staplers kind of work, you know. But and the Pomodoro work is different, where you set a timer, you know exactly what you're going to do, and you do the damn thing for 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Do 100 sessions of those every week, and I will be a fan of yours as well, man, whoever it is, because it's very fucking hard to do that.
So Manny, before you joined the Entre Programmers group, there was like maybe it was like 2 or 3 years, probably 3 years ago. Josh and I were very big on this and tracking this religiously, and I think we came to the point, Josh, correct me if I'm wrong, where it was basically like it was like a diminishing return. Like I mean, both of us were religious about this. We were heads down working on this, and like if you hit 60 a week. That was about like your max like point. And if you went over that, you might go over that in 1 week and go up to like 70 or 75. But then the next week you would be at 50 or 45, or you drop down to 30.
Or you'd
like,
notice, like for me, it was like day to day. So if I could do 10 a day was pretty bang on. Like I could do that. That was like jogging. I had a few days where I did like 16 and it was great until the next day. And then I could tell, I mean, it was like I hadn't eaten, it's like the feeling of you're eating carbs and then you stop eating carbs. Like that's how I felt the next day. I was like, it was like my mental focus was gone. I mean, I still did the Pomodoros, but I could tell that there wasn't, I could tell that while I was there, like, I'm trying to focus and I'm sitting there just kind of like spacing out. And
so the whole like people hating on the French for wanting to work 35-40 hours, or anyone who says that they're working more than 40 hours, show me your freaking Pomodoro report, my friend. Show me more than 100 Pomodoros and I will be
I would argue that the French probably aren't doing 35 hours of Pomodoro work either.
They're not doing 30 hours, they're doing 30 Pomodoros. Anyone who's doing 40 hours is probably doing 40 Pomodoros at best, if that. And that would be also
I get people emailing me or commenting because I did a YouTube video talking about this, and they're like, one guy was like, "Oh man, I'm doing like 18 Pomodoro a day every day. I don't know, like I don't know how you're saying that you can only do 8, and 8 is a lot."
Wow.
And my answer is, show me what you're doing for the Pomodoro work.
Yeah.
Right? Because checking email or answering email, sorry, that doesn't count. That doesn't require focus. That's fun. That's easy work, right? That's not Pomodoro work.
Checking email is fun, but processing email is work.
To some degree, but still, it's like you can do that without a brain, right? Like,
it doesn't require the same. It's not like intense creative.
I gotta go, guys. I have a meeting with Chuck now.
Okay.
All right. See you, man.
All right.
See ya. See you guys. Bye-bye.
All right.
See you guys.
See ya.